If you're interested in learning about new features in Paladin, you came to the right place. Hi, everybody. Good morning. My name is Charles Owen, Chief Experience Officer for Paladin, and today I'm going to deliver a presentation that's going to go over some of the more remarkable features that we've added. These aren't certainly all of them, but it's a handful of ones that are hopefully going to be useful to you. This will be recorded, and you will be able to play this back and share this with any of your cohorts. Also, I'll be addressing any questions at the end. Just go ahead and type in the questions that you have on the questions box on the bottom. Let's go ahead and get started. So what you're going to learn about, we're going to learn about the Profit Analyst update. It's a new enhancement we added to that particular feature. The electronic shelf tag, the multiple rewards programs, the cash discounting program for credit cards, and missing serial numbers report. Then we'll talk about the remote stock check additions that we've added. If you're not using this feature, you should be. It's a really remarkable feature. And then project payment management enhancements that we made, lets you associate projects to payments and credits and that sort of thing. And then buy down quote pick list report, which we've added, as well as some of the newer invoice store options that we've added in the settings, in the file setup invoice store tab. And then a few things to look at and to look for in the immediate future. So that's what we're going to cover today. Let's go ahead and get started. Profit Analyst lets you view average cost and market cost now. Before it was just primarily average, and now it gives you the choice to select a radio box, either average cost or market cost. Any changes that are made on the invoice, Profit Analyst displays the resulting margin and profit values. And these are, of course, all pre-tax totals. To get to this, you simply just either right-click on the item that you wish to see the cost, profit, and margin, and you can select the fifth item down here. You'll see with the blue arrow says Profit Analyst, or you can use the keyboard combination Alt plus A, and that will get you there as well. Electronic shelf labels, they are also something that we've added in the previous months. We partnered with a company called SES Imagotag. It's a they specialize in electronic shelf labeling, or ESL systems, and Paladin integrates with them. So as soon as you change your price in Paladin, it will automatically change the price on the electronic label, and that is done through some remote access, communicating from Paladin to each of these tags through another application that we've interfaced with. Very cool. As you receive EDI with new prices, electronic data interchange from your supplier, with new prices, they'll automatically be updated like instantaneously. And same with if you just go in and change a price in Paladin, and it'll change it on the shelf. The price for this program through Paladin is a one-time fee of a whopping $249 and only 29 bucks a month. So very affordable. From our perspective, of course, these labels aren't necessarily inexpensive. They are, you can tell just based on the technology, they're going to cost a little bit of money. So you may contact SES Imagotag separately to get a quote from them if interested. And I encourage everybody to do this, at least understand what your investment would be, because it certainly will pay off in the future. The next one is multiple rewards programs. So we've added the capability to have a multi-store environment where you can have a one particular store brand in one store, another store brand in a different store, and so on. Well, we give you the opportunity to have at least 2 rewards programs to be activated. So if the customer comes into one store and they happen to be an ACE member, they'll get that, they'll get all the perks along with points and everything else for being part of that program. And then if they will go to another store in the same chain, let's say they're Do It Best, we can also honor the Do It Best rewards for that same customer. If you're interested in this, contact Paladin Support and we can go ahead and tell you what's involved in setting it up. Following this is the cash discounting program, or alias credit card surcharging. So basically, there's a lot of requirements around this. You know, Visa and MasterCard, they don't let you or want you to do this pretty much ever, but they have agreed on enabling you to at least get back some of those investments you put into the processing fees. It's not all of them, and not everything complies. So customers paying with a credit card, debit cards not included, will be charged a fee to help offset the merchant's payment processing fees. And that is in the way of a cash discount. So everybody will receive a fee on their receipt, but the people paying with cash will be that will not be added to the end of the invoice. Merchants are responsible for verifying the legality of this program in your geographical location or municipality. How it works is when setting up internal cash discounts, a service fee will be added to every invoice, as I mentioned. Paladin limits a configurable percentage rate to a maximum of 3%. Why is that? Because that's what Visa stipulates. If payment is cash or a cash equivalent like charge, check, debit cards, coupons, or gift cards, the percentage you set will be discounted off the invoice as a cash discount. Very important to know, you are solely responsible for properly investigating applicability of the cash discounting programs in your state or municipality, getting an agreement from the actual credit card brand that you can provide this service. You also might have to have some signage in your store, based on the card brands. And when I talk about card brands, I mean Visa, MasterCard, and the like. Those are the two main. Lastly, it is the cashier's responsibility to accurately determine and select the card type, whether it's a debit card or a credit card. It's very important to understand this. There's no way to receive the information from the processor as to what type of card it is. So it's something that you have to determine. And lastly, when you do set this up, there is a manager acknowledgement that is required that basically says all of the aforementioned, where you acknowledge that you're responsible, you acknowledge that there might be some service fees and some additional taxation. You understand that processing fees are based on the amount of the sale plus any services applied, and you verify that the fee charge is within the limits established by the major card brands. And acknowledge that, and that's all you need. So it is quite interesting. We've got several stores on it. Some have gone on it and some have dropped it just because of the unpopularity of the consumer. And but I see this in more and more stores. It just quite hasn't really hit retail yet. It's more of in hospitality at this point, restaurants, hotels, and the like. All right, missing serial numbers report. This is something else that we've added. So there are ways to add stock on hand to serialized items. And if you do this, it will create this little warning symbol. It looks like a yield sign with an exclamation point. Many of these products that you are setting up with serialization are, things like power equipment, chainsaws, power tools, firearms, appliances, that sort of thing, water heaters, the like. When serialized products are added to the inventory without serial numbers, as I mentioned, you get that little caution symbol. And to identify what these are, you can just go into the missing serial number report and produce a report, and you can go in and fix them. Now, if you don't fix them and you try to sell the product, it will require a serial number at checkout. And you can on the fly put a serial number in. That's totally acceptable, and it will go ahead and fix that organically as people check out. We did put a cap on this, so you cannot necessarily add or receive stock manually. you have to actually receive it through a PO. And in that method, it prompts you with the serial number. And at this point, you can either type in a serial number or scan a serial number when you receive your products in. So here's what the report looks like. To get to it, you just go to the report section of Paladin, the report area pane, inventory in general. Then you go to under the report list pane, there's a select the missing serial numbers report. There's a whole slew of reports here, but missing serial numbers is down towards the bottom. Choose that report, click F12, and the missing serial numbers window in the sorting options, press F12 to run the report. And what you're going to get, this is a little excerpt of what you'll get here. You'll get the part number, alternate part number, description, the inventory ID, as well as the stock on hand, the stock missing the serial number, and the serialized stock. So it'll tell you both what is missing and what has a serialized number. So moving on to remote stock check. This is a really nice feature, which we've enabled for many of our hardware suppliers. And it's really limited to the capability that the supplier provides and offers to us. We will integrate with anybody's API or application programming interface, which connects us directly to their ERP or enterprise resource and planning system that they have for their fulfillment of the orders. So this is something that is accessible in multiple areas, and it will show you the availability of what's in the warehouse, shows not only what's available, but also when you generate your purchase orders, it will indicate, and you've probably already seen this on your POs, it'll have two sections, one where it says out of stock, and it'll list all the products out of stock at that particular time, and then below that, what's in stock. And that way, no longer do you have to adjust quantities. You can basically, and no more do you have to go to the supplier's portal website and look to make sure that they have that item in stock. It's going to tell you before you even generate your order. So it is possible to take that order, send it off, and then take all those parts that were not available in the warehouse and maybe find alternate methods to order those. It's currently available for Ace Hardware, Buttery, Do It Best, EJD or Emery Jensen distribution, Orgel, True Value, and Wallace Hardware. And we're adding more as they come online with this API. Here's what it looks like when you generate a purchase order. You can see where it says supplier out of stock. You've got the little blue arrow. It sorts it by what's out of stock, what's partially available, and what's available. And as you click on those items, it will also tell you one by one which the how much they do have in stock. But we take the hard work out of this and automatically tell you when you generate your purchase order. It will go ahead and identify what's available and what isn't available. Next, once you're in the either invoice and quote screen, inventory module or PO module, you can enter a part number and then highlight that item and click on stock check or transfer. If it's a single store, it's going to be F7 stock check. If it's a multi-store, it'll be F7 transfer. And then the remote stock check window will open up and display the results. It's a pretty nice feature to have. You can do that right during invoice and quoting. Payment management or project payment management. So we've added a nice little drop-down box that gives you the capability to identify charge invoices based on projects. So if you enter a project during the time that you're creating the invoice, it will classify it or categorize it under a particular project. So anybody that sells to contractors, which incorporates, builders, electricians, plumbers, painters, and all that, constantly juggling the orders and the credits for different jobs. So this helps you tie those invoices to those charge invoices to those credit invoices. Now, for those that are set up with open item, you just select payment management and choose a project. This will show all invoices paid and unpaid for each project, and then payments can easily be associated with the appropriate charge invoice just by double clicking, and it will assign it to that particular credit invoice. What it's also, in addition, at the bottom of the screen, when you're in payment management, you have a capability of choosing the applied payment history button, which you can find on the bottom of that page. And what it will do is it will give you all of the charges and credits for particular projects, and it will break it down by project. In this case, I just have one project showing, but there might be more below it with other projects. So if the contractor wants to know and understand what's been applied, what hasn't been applied based on the job, they can do that in Paladin. And next are the buy down quote pick list report. So if you go into invoicing quote and you go to recall transactions, you'll see there's multiple buckets. The order button bucket, the quote bucket as well. Currently, when you generate Excel reports for the quotes and orders, previously it just produced all of the quotes that needed to be fulfilled and not the orders. The orders were individual on the pick list. So you'd individually select one and say, okay, I want to pick this order, give me a printout. Great. Well, now we've added it so that when you go into this area and you're able to select export to Excel, it pulls in both quotes and orders. So if you go to invoice quote, select the customer you want, oftentimes this box pops up here that you see on the screen, says account info, and it indicates how many different quotes, orders, special orders, non-holds are in the system for that particular customer. This is an optional box. You do not have to have this box come up, but it is a very convenient and really recommended box to come up, because if you're putting in an order or a quote that's already been put in or entered by somebody else, you want to know about that before you go and duplicate your efforts. So once you recall the transaction, what will happen is it comes up and it enables you to, it'll default to quote and order. And the delineation between the two, the quotes, as you know, are just stored quotes. The orders are committed orders, meaning these are items that the customer has committed to, and you're going to want to fulfill that. And that can be fulfilled over time, as it's called a buy down quote. And when you pull this list up, on the left-hand side, it says View in Excel on the bottom of the screen, View in Excel. This is a complete list of open quotes and orders. Again, before it was just open quotes, now it's quotes and orders. On the right-hand side, however, you can identify or select individual orders to generate a pick list just for that specific order. What it looks like when it prints is the orders are typed as buy down quotes, meaning you can go back and come back to that order and buy multiple items and save the rest for another day. And when they come back in to pick up the balance of the supplies, you can just continue to build invoices off of that buy down quote or order. Quotes are just listed as type quote. So it shows in column B on this spreadsheet, and that's how you're going to be able to see what's available. All right, there's another area that I added, and these are some of the newer invoice and store tab options and settings. So this is the bottom portion of invoice store. So if you go to File, Setup, Invoice Store tab, you'll see a bunch of new stuff at the bottom. So I'm going to go over each of these. Some of these I actually have a separate slide for, so I can explain in more detail. But I'll just quickly go through and run through this. So enable quote numbers, that's been in there for a while. So that'll assign a quote number to every quote. But now we've added the capability to use an alternate subject line for emailed quotes. So if you're emailing quotes right now, I believe it says the invoice and the invoice number. Actually, no, it would just say invoice, I believe, because it doesn't have an invoice number because it hasn't been created yet. So instead of that, if you select this option, use alternate subject line for emailed quotes, it'll show you on that subject line the store name and the quote number. So that's added. Next, you'll see I've skipped the disable second receipt when signatures skip because that's been there for a while. That's pretty obvious what that is. The next one is enable tax holiday. It's been in there a while, but maybe you don't know what it is. There are certain states that enable you to or allow you during certain times of the year to get partial tax-free sales. So if you're selling a bicycle for $400, the first 250 might be tax-free. And we've incorporated this into the Paladin system. I'll show you how that's done. And then enable oversold warning. So this is something we added in the distant past, but we've incorporated a filter oversold warning by yard order inventory location. So now what you can do is you can isolate all the items in the yard from all the items in the store. So why would you want an oversold warning if somebody brings something up to the counter? I don't care what your inventory says, it's there, they want to buy it. Don't stop them from buying it. Don't prevent that from happening. So we enable you to isolate the oversold warning to just those items that you can't see, that are out in the yard or out in the barn or out in the container or wherever, somewhere where the cashier cannot see it. Well, it'll give them a nice little warning. We'll kind of go over that in the next slide. And then delete stored quote after so many days. So if you've got if your system has quotes in it and you're inundated with the last 2 years of quotes and it's just a ton of them in there, you don't need them. You need to get rid of those. Those are just kind of there. You've either created an invoice from that quote, converted it to an order or non-hold or something, but there shouldn't be, you shouldn't have any reason to store quotes for a long period of time. And why would you honor them anyway after several months? You know, price changes all the time. Now we do have a feature that enables you to update those prices just by a click of a button when you recall those outdated stored quotes. But this is a better, cleaner way to do it where you can say, I want to delete all stored quotes after 30 days. Or if you want to hold on to them, just put 0. It defaults to 0. All right, moving on to some of the other features under that same area, the Invoice Store tab. Require manager approval for tax checkbox. So in the past, there's a tax checkbox on every line item, and the cashier was able to just uncheck tax. Now we make it where if you want, you can require manager approval for that box to be checked. Next, automatically put items on hold when in the order manager. So when you convert a quote to an order, you may want to pull those items out of the stock on hand in the inventory and put them in the on hold bucket. You can do that by just checking this box. Automatically put items on hold when in the order manager. The second to the last, assigning a project to an invoice. So I've had the request many times, hey, you know, my contractors, they might pay by credit card, they might pay by check, they might pay by cash or on account, but I want to track every single invoice at the project level and or PO or memo level and or a authorized signer level. So you're able to do this, and I'll get more into this in the couple of slides forward. Next, full sheet format. So there is an alternate full page format. It's a condensed version of the current large form receipt, and it really tries to minimize the amount of paper that's required on the large receipts. So it's pretty effective. It's not sexy. It's not as nice as the current one that comes standard, but it does fulfill a goal for those folks that want to just see the bare minimum information and save paper. All right, so let's look at some of these. We'll just dissect these a little bit. I've just got a few of them that I'm doing here. One is enable auto quote numbers. You'll see that the quote number under the memo where the red circle is automatically is placed in there. So quote 130, 131, 132, and it just continues to add a sequential number every time you add a quote. That quote can be followed to on holds and orders if that quote is converted. And optionally, you can use alternate subject line for emailed quotes. So instead of seeing the subject line as invoice, it will include the store name and quote number. That is what we've already gone over, but basically, I would recommend that particular feature to be enabled. Next, tax holiday. Again, it's a right click, it's a tax holiday feature, or you can get to it with a key combination of Control T. You enter the amount on the line item that will be sold without tax, press apply, complete the sale, and the comparative revenue report will itemize that information for you. So when you select tax holiday, it actually comes up with a box and says, hey, how much of this is tax-free? Again, using the bicycle example, $400, but $250 is tax-free. You just type $250, and then it removes tax from that amount and just does it automatically. Okay, we're getting to the bottom here. So the last one is oversold warning. In the invoice quote module, if an amount is entered with a quantity lower than what is available in the inventory, this warning box can pop up. It again, you can set it up to just be the yard order or the yard items, or both in-store and yard items, or all items for that matter. Some stores want this, that's great. It's just another nuisance at checkout. If you're not really maintaining your stock on hands, I wouldn't recommend this, but if you're diligent about your stock on hands and you're 90+% accurate, you can probably safely get away with activating this feature without too much inconvenience. The warning pops up and you can suppress it by pressing the cancel button. That will retain the numbers that you put in quantity, or if you select OK, it'll change that number in the quantity to match exactly what you have available in the inventory. And that's it. Oh, no, there's more. Signing POs and projects to all payment types. It's probably one of the more important ones for a lot of the lumber building material stores out there, others that want to maintain and track PO numbers with every invoice, regardless of the payment type. This is the invoice information box that I talked about, actually prompting you with this, even if it's not a charge account, if it's cash or check or coupon or what have you, it's going to go ahead and pop this box, and you can put in a purchase order number, memo, authorize signer, choose from the list. You can also add projects. So this is a feature that's in that invoice store tab under file setup, which can be activated. So if you're interested in any of these features, you want to, and you need help, this isn't enough information potentially for you to do it, then just give us a call and we'll help you through it. So I added a coming soon here just to kind of put a teaser out there. You know, we've been working on the RF gun redesign for quite some time. That will be coming out shortly. It's going to really change the amount of information that you see on that gun. Right now, I think it's limited to 5 or 6 lines. We actually increase it to a total of 15. So it's going to give you more information to glean from when you're ordering, when you're receiving, when you're counting, when you're changing prices, and generating bin tags and the rest of it. Next is document storage. So we're going to have some stored documents, and we currently have this running in a couple of stores. It will be something that will be rolling out in the future. And then lastly, the 3rd generation mobile projects or products. So we have a number of different mobile products currently. You know, we've got generation 1, 2, and now we're on our 3rd generation. You know, trying to keep up with that technology and all the changing attributes is not easy because they're constantly being replaced. So we make sure that everything's going to run. So all of our prior generations still run, they still work, and they will hopefully continue to work as long as we support them. And this new 3rd generation of mobile products will prove to be a tremendous asset to your store. It's just going to take whatever we have out there right now and really enable a lot more features, give you more capabilities, including being able to swipe or dip a card right on your in your mobile checkout solution. Okay, to learn more, you can go to the help portal, portal.paladinpos.com, and there you'll see the help portal, which you can see webinars, training videos, knowledge base articles. Here are some of the information or that you can find that's relevant to this particular webinar. Save the date for the next webinar at the end of January, January 30th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. I don't know exactly what we'll be delivering as far as a webinar, but stay tuned. We'll be broadcasting that shortly. And then, as always, really appreciate you attending this. And I was actually just looking at the questions, and Chuck, yes, everybody's automatically muted. If you have a question, you can type it in, or feel free to call me. Just dial Paladin and talk to Charles. I can help you with any questions that you have. But if you want to go ahead and type in those questions right now, I'll kind of stall a few minutes here while we do that. And then again, you can stay relevant in retail by visiting the Retail Science website, which has all kinds of articles on how to improve your consumer traffic, different tips and tricks on how you can increase your sales and the like. And then you can see the webinars, including this webinar, within the next 24, 48 hours, probably actually might even be up there today, under portal.paladinpos.com, and you can either put /webinars or just select webinars when you go into the help portal. And then again, all of our self-help tools are in that same portal where you can peruse our knowledge base, search for the knowledge base, previous webinars, training videos, and such. I don't see any additional questions. So Chuck, feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email. My email's on here. It's charleso@paladinpos.com. So everybody be safe. We're enjoying some snow for the first time in the season today, and it's coming down hard out there. So be safe and God bless. Until next time, take care.